is this the most impressive run LeBron has had? I just think that when you play the style of play that they feel impelled to play, where they're basically isolating LeBron on every possession, it makes it so hard on the other guys on the team because you're watching Kevin Love get a touch every 3 or 4 possessions, Korver get a touch every 3 or 4 possessions. It just puts so much pressure on those peripheral
but those guys have
right?
no ability. Some of those guys can't even get their own shot.
Kevin Love and Korver have plenty of ability.
Wait, Korver is a catch and shoot guy. That's all he is. He's a good shooter, but he's a catch and shoot guy. That's what he is.
Get those guys into situations where they're stepping into shots and not running off a million screens.
They're not capable of playing that way. I mean, you can't build that team around Kevin.
How do you know that, though, Mike? They haven't attempted to play that way.
Come on, Ryan. You can't build that team around Kevin Love. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. You know what? When they won championships in Cleveland, what'd they do? They had 2 scorers. He had a secondary scorer. The left fielder just saved Harvey a big inning. He made a great catch in left center field. Could have been a triple. Instead, it's a sac fly, so a second run in. But, boy, he made a great catch. I don't know who it is in left field. Is that Duvall in left field? I don't know who that is in left. Who's that playing left field? Who is that? I can't. Is it Duvall? Okay, it's a great, superb catch. That would have been a triple. And instead, it's a sac fly. So he's only got 2 runs in. It would have been 2 more runs in. It would have been 4-3 and a runner on third. So that was a very, very big play. That was a 2-run saving play right there. It would have been a very different inning because that ball would have gone off the wall and would have been, bouncing around in left center field off the fence. It would have been in probably 3 bags, and he would have had 4-3 and a runner on third, 1 out. Instead, he's got 2 out and a runner on first. So that was a very big defensive play. But Harvey's had a terrible first inning here after getting spotted 4 runs. Bobby in Stores, what's up, Bobby?
Hey, Mike, welcome back.
Thank you. What's up?
Just want to tell you personally, one thing I missed most not having you was when you did the check-in games during the NCAA tournament. That's when I really missed you on the radio.
Thank you. What's up?
Games. Quick question. Quick with the Mets. I had a major issue today. I went to the game, stayed only 5 innings. I'm on my way home now. How come Jay Bruce wasn't in the lineup today? This guy's here, okay? You're telling me Hop is that much of a dominating lefty with Bruce?
If I had to guess, I'd say he probably has lousy numbers against Happ is what I would think. That's all I can go on is that he's got, there's no Cespedes. He played Conforto and batted him 4th. I would just guess he has bad numbers against Happ.
And the other player,
he wanted to play Lagares because he was hot, so I understand that. But he could have played Bruce. I don't know why he didn't.
And the other guy is Ramos. This guy, when he was closing for Marlins, he was putting up good numbers. He's been a bust since he's been here. He's getting hit all over the place. He can't throw a strike. And, he's in a big, I feel like he should be getting a lot more, I feel he's flew under the radar. But he's been a major problem in that bullpen. He just doesn't feel like he's the same player. I was trying to see if you think anything of what this problem is.
I don't know what his problem is, but I think there's a lot of people on this team that you can count on, that you can bring up who have failed to do their job. So I agree with you. Ramos has not done his job. Obviously, Vargas has been a disaster. I mean, so there's plenty of guys there. You're right. I can't, I don't know why. I don't know why it's happening, but he hasn't done his job. That's for sure. He's done a terrible job. If you're just joining us, the Yankees washed out. Mets, you could call it a washout. They got blown out today, 9-0, bottom of the 8th against Toronto. So it's been that kind of day. Happ went 7, pitched a 2-hitter, struck out 10. He's a good pitcher, but they made him look like a great pitcher today. So the Mets got 12 runs last night. That's like a month's work for them, and they went back to form today with 2 hits on a rainy day. They got the game in, but boy, wasn't much to show for it as they got shut out or about to get shut out 9-0. Yankees washed out June 18th. They will play the suspended game and then play the regular game. Paul in East Rutherford, what's up, Paul?
Hey, Mike. Great to have you back.
Thank you. What's happening?
My commute at least 20 minutes shorter since you've been back. But, hey, I got a question about Darnold. All right, everybody's extolling McCagnon for the job he did. But I feel like, these USC quarterbacks don't do well in New York. West Coast guys don't do that great in New York to begin with. and no USC quarterbacks ever played in a Super Bowl. And here, this roster has holes all over it, and this guy's shipping away picks, and everybody's acting like he did some great thing. And I don't. I mean, this is a 5-11 team. Looking at the schedule, I don't think that Darnold's going to make it any better. And I don't have much faith that he's the guy anyway. I like that kid out of Northwestern coming out next year. Honestly, they could have taken Nelson at 6.
I like Donald. I liked him a lot. I think he reminds me a little bit of. Now, I'm not comparing him to Dan Marino. My point is, though, if he had come out last year. If he could have come out last year, the way he finished the season, he was everybody's number one last year. This year, he had some shaky talent around him. He made some mistakes himself. He had a lot of, he forced some issues. He fumbled the ball some. So he did not have the season he had last year. And so he slid a little in people's minds, and there was then the 4 quarterbacks this year. I happen to think Donald's the real deal. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. I think he's got all the ingredients to be a really good quarterback. Now, they got to build a team around him. I don't know how quickly they're going to do that because, to me, I think there's a lot of holes, as you said, in their team. And I'm one who wants to force feed him a little bit. As long as the offensive line is okay, if I think the offensive line's okay, then I want him to play. I don't want him to play behind a sieve-like line. I do want him to play otherwise and learn on the job and learn his lesson that way. Because I think he's tough. I think he's durable. I think he's the kind of guy who can handle that. He can take a licking and come back. I think he's capable of that. So I think he's the right he's got the right temperament for this. I happen to like him. I think he's the right guy, and I think they finally have their quarterback. I think they got lucky. I think they finally got their guy. Now, they didn't know they were going to get him at 3. Early on, they could have easily wound up with another quarterback. My understanding is, despite all the rumors, they were not going to take Baker Mayfield. They were going to take Rosen at 3, is my understanding. Now, they never did it, so you can't prove that, but that's my understanding, that they would have gone to Rosen instead of, if Donald was taken, they were definitely going quarterback. Donald falls in their lap at 3 with the Giants going with Barkley. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see as you have that kind of guy there. I never worry about the idea of, I agree with you about California guys for the most part. They do sometimes lack toughness. They don't handle the East that well. But I'm not going to look at it as, I can never go with a USC quarterback. I don't worry about stuff like that. I think one guy, can break that very easily. One guy can break that mold and break that run of bad quarterbacks or guys who haven't made it. I mean, listen, we've had some decent USC quarterbacks. We haven't had great USC quarterbacks, obviously. I have plenty of great USC players, just not great USC quarterbacks. Alex in Long Island, what's up, Alex?
Hey, how are you, Mike? Thanks for taking my call.
What's happening?
So, not too much. I'm curious, going to the whole Robinson Cano suspension, I'm looking back prior to Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, the whole era where, the MLB was having issues filling the ballparks, people watching the games, and then these guys came in blasting home runs 60, 70 a year. Everyone knew they were on roids. I think looking at Barry Bonds' rookie year up until when he finished, to make a long story short, I'm just curious, what was the turning point where the league said, enough with the roids, and now they're having the problem, where people, again, are complaining about the pace of the game. I'm just curious, what was the turning point where they said enough's enough with the steroids and started suspending the guys?
What happened was, if you remember, they had the strike.
Yeah.
They canceled the World Series. The game took a tremendous hit. Sports took a tremendous hit. Yeah. It was the low ebb time in the history of Mike and the Mad Dog, or the history of the years that I did the show or Dog did the show. That was the lowest rated period on the radio of the 30 years that any of us have worked by far. That strike period, that year, that it really is. So there was a malaise over all the sports and the canceling of the World Series. They came out of that obviously with the home runs. Okay. And then what happened is, when Selig went to Washington and he got spanked in Congress, he said, I'm not taking this anymore. I'm not putting up with this. I'm not taking it for the players anymore. And he came back and everything changed. And that was it. And that's when they got tough, when the Congress and Waxman and those guys got tough with them, and when they went through that whole circus in front of Congress, that is when everything changed. That changed it dramatically. That's when, everything changed. The whole attitude changed. They wanted to put guys away. They wanted to get guys. They didn't look the other way anymore. That changed everything. Back after this.